Angelo Fierro, welcome to the Firecast.
Thank you for having me, guys. It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Glad you're here. Always bring an abundance of energy and focus, and had the good fortune of knowing you for probably the last 7 years, and a lot to learn and unpack here today. So we're excited. Let's do it.
So am I. Let's do it.
So maybe a little bit just your background. How long in real estate?
Well, I like to say that licensed for 21 years, committed for 16,
Wow.
15, 16 years.
Right.
It took a little while to get my bearings in the business. I moved out to LA 22 years ago from New York. Had a small group of college friends here that, helped make it feel like home.
Sure.
But for the business, I didn't really know a lot of people. So it took a while to just figure out kind of my direction, my place in our exciting real estate market, and what I would be doing.
Why real estate?
Good question. I got licensed in college. I went to Boston University, and my uncle, who lives in the North End, which is like probably the nicest little Italy in the country. He was a real estate investor, and one day he just I was looking for work, and because my parents wanted me to work while I was in school, I was looking for internships, and one day he just goes, "Ma, Angelo, why you don't get a real estate license?" And I was like, you know what, I'll do that. And I got licensed in Boston. And my junior and senior year, I did mostly rentals, but sold a couple of places. And Boston Beantown was a great place to do it, especially during college. I mean, when rentals were great to do.
Yep.
And that's when I did it. Then I kind of, at the end of college, as I was graduating, I kind of felt like I needed to get in touch with my creative side and got the acting bug. Moved to New York City, went to acting school there, and mostly acted in New York City, worked in restaurants. Shout out to Bar Petey in the West Village. And my wife and I, we moved to the South Seaport. We moved in together, and it was about a week before 9/11. And then 9/11 happened, and we were about 4 blocks away. And right after, about a month after 9/11, we were some of the only people that actually got on a plane to come to a wedding here in LA at Union Station. The wedding was in Union Station.
Okay, wow.
And the reception was. And I fell in love with it. I kind of, as an East Coaster, you're kind of born being an LA hater. It's kind of like in your DNA. And
I agree. We're Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, and what people think LA is that aren't there, who are not from LA. It's amazing, as opposed to the reality of it.
Exactly. And while we were taking a break, smoking a cigarette outside of Union Station, I just looked over to my wife, and we were dating at the time, and I was like, baby, I was like, you know what? I think I've been the victim of a bandwagon effect. I don't understand why I haven't liked this place.
Yeah.
It's incredible. There's nothing not to like.
Yeah.
And a year later, I moved out here. And then she moved out. She followed me a year after I moved out.
And that was your then girlfriend, now wife?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And so did you pursue acting in LA for a while?
Did
you go? Yeah.
Yep, I did in the beginning. When I first got licensed, I was working in restaurants, auditioning, doing commercials, a couple of TV shows, and doing open houses, doing showings,
Did you get your license right out of the gate when you moved here, though, or no?
Okay. I got it. So I moved out here in 2003. 2002, 2003, and got licensed in 2006.
Okay.
And one of the things that I always think about in terms of real estate is that it's a very bad part-time job. Now, I'm also open, right? I've been doing this for 25 years, coaching a lot of realtors, and I always say, it's a bad part-time job. But here you are, acting, working at restaurants, you're obviously meeting a lot of people that can tend to create a sphere. How did you break into real estate really as a full-time gig?
When I moved out here, one of my roommates from college, he's a native Los Angelino. He passed away during COVID. And he picked me up at the airport. And he showed up with a bottle of whiskey and a Thomas Guide. And in the Thomas Guide, he wrote, Angelo, this is going to be your best friend. And I had this little Ford Focus, had leopard skin covered seats.
Wow. Yeah.
I called it my cramp puff.
Okay.
Like from Scarface.
Yep.
And I drove around the entire city with that Thomas Guide in my lap.
And I think if we could get a photo of you in that car, we would put that in the show notes.
Absolutely,
okay.
But I don't know if I have a photo.
Okay.
But if I do, I'll look for it. If I do, I'll send it to you.
And for those who don't know, a Thomas Guide, it's obviously pre-navigation. And a Thomas Guide, did you ever use a Thomas Guide?
I'm not sure I ever used it. I've definitely.
I loved it.
Okay, good for you, because it just shows you how smart and spatially oriented you are. A Thomas Guide for me was a nightmare. It was about that thick, and each page represented a little tiny section of LA. And if you wanted to
connect the dots,
you had to go E4 to 5, 6 and flip the thing. And I'm like, forget it.
And that's how I learned every neighborhood. When I got here, I'm very kind of being oriented is a big part of my, a big part of being important to me. And wherever I go, when I moved to New York City from college, we moved to Italy when I was 15 years old. I went to high school there. So that was a big part of, getting acclimated. And when I got out here, I was like, this city is just enormous.
Correct.
And you have your north-souths and your east and west kind of points, but everything in between is just
it's a nightmare.
It's so
even there were parts of the East Coast. I lived in Washington D.C. It was on a grid, and then there was this sort of secret code where the streets were in alphabetical order, and then once you hit Z, then it hit AA. I mean, there was this whole code that once you knew it, you could figure your way around. Really against the ocean, you could really have the East as a demarcation. And in LA, I look out my window, I see the ocean, and I'm like, okay, well that must be west. And I'm like, oh no, you're on the whatever. And I pull out the compass. It's like, it's north. I'm like, wait a minute, because even the coastline isn't straight. One thing about LA also, which is very unique, is that, and I have to say, I wish I'd come up with it myself, but I heard it, a quote from Sofia Coppola, and she said that, who loves LA, and she said, LA is not a place, it's a tapestry of these very distinct neighborhoods, all sewn together. So there are, cities, people believe that the entertainment industry drives Los Angeles. In the same way, I lived in Washington, D.C. I will tell you, government and law drive that town. So everybody either works for the government, or they're a lawyer, or work as in some political form. Maybe Detroit, for example, driven by the car industry. At one point in time, Pittsburgh was a steel industry, and it just dominates. And in LA, I mean,
it's everything.
Yeah. I had
so diverse.
I had a friend that I had to convince him to try LA. He's a professor, and he's like, well, I'm not into the industry thing. I'm not whatever. I'm like you can spend your life, barely bumping into industry people. And it really is true.
Especially now.
Oh yeah.
Especially now. Unfortunately, but especially now. And so as I kind of learned the city more and more, I started seeing these craftsman homes on the east side, Glendale, Pasadena. I loved the Adobe Spanish of, say, Beverly Grove, West Hollywood. Even of the Silver Lake area. My first place was in Silver Lake. And then the mid-century moderns and the ranchos of the valley.
Yep.
And then you get these like gorgeous, hillside homes. I really started connecting with it, and I didn't realize yet that, I kind of wanted to be there. But once I got licensed, you're worried about how am I going to generate business.
Sure.
That's the first thing.
Yeah.
And it took me a while. I was on a great team. I had some great mentors.
Did you start off on a team?
I didn't start off, but then I went to one.
Okay.
Went to two, actually, one and then another one. And the second one, I was on the Sunset team, and they were great. They were amazing. It was a phenomenal experience.
Yep.
And they at one point were, and it's certainly how I knew Angelo the first go round, they were at one point in time the most productive real estate team in West Hollywood, period. And they were also officed out of here.
Yeah.
And I, still trying to find my way. And I was always like cold calling, door knocking, doing as many open houses as I could. And one day my daughter was born. And that changed it all right there.
And that was how many years in?
And so that was 2006. She was born 2009.
Okay.
Wow. So, when she was born, I tore my Achilles a week after she was born. Because I needed to be on a football field a week after my daughter was born. So tore my Achilles. I was home with her, and the great part of that was I got to bond with her. So I was incapacitated for 6 months. But in that time, I was thinking, what kind of shift do I need to make to really make this happen, to make this my career?
Yep.
And I just got this idea of, I got to get a coach. And I went to Tom Ferry. And Tom Ferry really changed it for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at that point, were you still on a team or no?
Yes, that was probably like the tail end of being on the Sunset team. Yeah.
And so when you were trying to do it on your own, now I'm just making these assumptions, but you're trying to do it on your own, and it's awfully hard to start out in a new big city on your own. Then you move to a team because you can kind of draft off of their name and their reputation and their lead gen. And, obviously the splits are very different because when you're a junior member on the team, you're getting a much smaller piece, but at least you're getting a piece of something. And is this all lining up?
We learned because they did a lot of like building brand new, brand new construction. And so we learned like how to look at the curb appeal of a property, how to determine, feasibility of remodeling.
And also something that's very useful, even if you're not doing the development yourself, very useful for realtors, is to be able to look at a house and say to a client, hey, look, there's real opportunity here. And here's what we could do. Here's what you could do. And really know,
what strategic modifications you can make to enhance the experience and or the value.
Because people are always fighting here where it's a high price point relative to affordability. They're always fighting with the I could afford a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, but I'm married and I have 1 kid, the second one's on the way. This isn't working, but I really can't afford a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, which is what we want. And this is where someone with Angelo's experience can go out and say, okay, well, look at, here's a 3-2 that's a little ramshackle. We could fix this up for this amount of money and this amount of time for real. We could build an ADU and now you've got a solution for a client that, you're adding tremendous value.
I gotta say, when you're starting out, learning all of the elements, everything we need to know for our clients, market, how to prepare a house for sale, the kind of the nuances of every place these homes are in. I mean, you're inspecting in WeHo with one inspector in the hills, you're using a completely different team of inspectors. So knowing all of these nuances throughout this enormous city is, it takes years. It takes years. It takes a lot of work.
We always talk about, one of the things about LA amongst many that makes it really unique is how idiosyncratic idiosyncratic it is and how every area is so unique, to your point, which just enhances the value of an agent that's knowledgeable and knows what they're doing, as opposed to many other areas are very cookie cutter and the product is very homogeneous, and therefore there's not as much need for a great agent to provide value, whether you're on the buying or selling side. So I think that's a great point, and being that kind of knowledge broker, so to speak, just gives you an opportunity to build a business. I want to come back to a really important point. You talked about coaching and Tom Ferry. I guess number one, what was like the catalyst for you starting that, and then dig a little deeper into like why that was such an important sort of decision and what impact it had on your career.
I think one of the things that Angelo said was, hey, you know, I had a daughter, and that really like all of a sudden I'm like, hey, wait a second.
It's your why.
Right.
Yeah, that's correct.
The why.
Yeah. And why coaching though? Well, like I get that for sure.
I needed structure. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm ADD, at times ADHD, and I needed some kind of structure, and I just couldn't figure out, you know, how to do it. Mm-hmm. You know, how to set it up for myself. I saw all of these processes, these different kinds of conversations, action steps that you need to do all day, every day, and repeat the next day, and repeat and repeat. And I was just scattered. You know, I was still felt kind of new to LA. It was hard for me too, because the people that I knew, you know, they rooted for me. You know, I can never say they didn't root for me. They did root for me, you know, very strongly. However, in the same time, there's this thing when you get licensed that it's because there's so many agents in LA that people like, they don't know if they could take you seriously. Mm-hmm. And there was some of that too. So I was questioning myself because of like the way people were acting with me, or at least I was kind of assuming that this is kind of like the way they were being with me.
Like, oh, hey, you know, oh yeah, I don't know if you know or not, but you know, I'm now selling real estate, and people were like, okay,
yeah, like get in line, like you and a million others.
Yeah.
And so it was hard for them to accept it. It was hard for me to like determine, like, you know, how would someone believe in me?
Yep.
With this enormous responsibility.
Yep.
Of helping you buy a place or helping you sell a place. So the main part was structure.
Yep.
It was really structure. And I had committed to, I think it was 3 years. You know, I was like, we're getting this done.
Right.
So, and with that structure came that whole change in mindset, you know, in routines.
So those were the expectation. You went into it for structure, and tell us what transpired.
Also, you said 3 years. So what did you want to, where did you come up with the number 3 years, and what had to happen by 3 years? Or you're like, oh, I'm going to try coaching for 3 years. Or you're like, hey, I'm going to commit to coaching. I'm going to do what they tell me to do. And if it's not happening in 3 years, what's the 3 year?
The not happening wasn't an option.
Okay.
It wasn't an option. At that point I was in.
Yeah.
And, you know, up to that point, I mean, I had sold maybe, you know, 4 or 5 places, you know, and
how many years in the business up till then?
So what happened was 2003.
3 years.
3.5 years.
So you're into it 3.5 years.
And what happened too,
and you've
is
really
that,
sold only 4 places.
Yeah, it was like 4 or 5 places.
And this is a national podcast, so, you know, unfathomable for, you know, somebody in Omaha, Nebraska, but, you know, you're not doing great, but I mean, you're paying a few of your bills if you're selling a house a year. A few bills,
right.
Not all your bills.
Yeah. How do you remember like what kind of price points those first homes were ish?
900.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's still right. It's still a $20+
Yeah.
$1,000 pay, you know, check, which for one home, which is a lot more than many other
it's
places.
It's hard to live
country.
on 20
right.
grand a year.
But nevertheless, at least what it does is it also gives you a little bit of, you tell me, like still getting a big check like that one time gives you like, that hope, right? To some or not. I
gotta say, I was kind of, you know, when I started, the other thing that happened was that the rug got pulled out from underneath us. I mean,
that's
I remember being in that
Oh,
office, watching a TV screen, it was silent,
That's a great point.
And I'm cold calling, and people are leaving Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns, and people on the phone are like, man, get out of here. Like, we're going to crash and burn. The world's over. We're all going to die. And I'm like, but hold on. You got a house to sell though, right? Like, let me come over. like, it's literally what I would be saying, you know? Like, don't leave yet. Don't put everything on top of the car yet and get out of here. Like, let me come over. And it was challenging because then the market completely crashed.
Right.
We had to pivot as an industry to short sales and REOs and foreclosures. And here I am trying to figure out, you know, like, where do I fit? And now I got to like learn this whole other skill. And so I think a couple of my sales were short sales.
Okay. Daughter born 2009, and then the decision to do the coaching shortly thereafter in that same year.
Oh, it was like a month after.
Okay, so
like
okay,
month, 2 months after.
right.
I mean, with my cast on, I was calling I was calling coaches.
Okay.
What led you to choose that particular coach? And we know Tom well.
Yeah, you know, I liked because I had gone to Mike Ferry. Events, and I liked Mike Ferry.
I like Mike too. Very different. Very father son. Very different approach.
Very different approach.
It was the way they were kind of going into, because at that time too, this when we started using cell phones and social media and online leads. I remember, like, if we got a Trulia lead, I was like, oh, we got this Trulia lead. Oh my God, what are we gonna do with it? It was like a hot potato almost, you know. And their setup was the old school way,
right?
You
Mike
know,
Ferry, correct?
Calling belly to belly, talking to people, mailers, open houses, you know, getting out there. And then Tom Ferry had this technology twist to it as well.
A little more innovative.
A little more innovative, So I like that. And Mary Jett was my coach, and she was amazing. I loved her. And she really, really put structure.
And coming back to Paul's question, at the outset, did you say 3 years, or was that in hindsight?
Oh, right. Sorry about that. So what I realized is that selling 1 or 2 places a year is unsustainable in Los Angeles.
Correct.
Like, unsustainable. So at that point, I made the decision. I was like, all right, well, I got to sell 1 a month. At least 12 a year, okay? And I need to double that production in year 2, okay? Then I need to 25% that production in year 3. And then at that point, I would have kind of known, because I would have a significant amount of data at my fingertips, what I could sustain and what would be, you know, comfortable for me at the time, you know, still being a single agent.
So that was out of the gate. It was like 3 years. This will give me enough data, give me enough insight, enough perspective to really determine if this is my long-term career.
I like to build my database too. You know.
One of the reasons why I stuck on the 3-year piece, and I really wanted to get into that, was if you go to a job, you know, you go in the morning and they give you something to do. You do it till the end of the day. My brother's a doctor. I love to use this example. He's a hospital-based doctor. So he gets very well compensated. He goes in the morning and you know, maybe it's changed, but they had a wire basket, okay? And he would come in the morning, it's hospital-based practice, so all the doctors would be, you know, sending all the things down for him to analyze, and his wire basket would be loaded. And he would get in at 7 o'clock in the morning, and he would work till about 3 or 4 p.m. with some interruptions where doctors would come in or whatever. And he would never get the wire basket down to 0, but he would get it way down there, you know? And then he would leave, and he would go to the gym or have dinner, or he would do his life, and 6 o'clock in the morning, rinse and repeat. Wake up, shower, brush his teeth, go in, and the wire basket is up to here. You know, and of course there are variations where there are crises and, you know, complaints, just like any other business. In real estate, your wire basket is not filled. Your things to do are not filled. The other thing too is that you get there's a randomness to it, so that, you know, we know, and you know from your experience around this table, we know that consistent activity, doing the right things, doing them well, and doing them consistently over time will generate a consistent business. But even within that, it feels inconsistent because, you know, the client that you followed up with, you know, if I gave you a list, you're like, you know, this client, oh, I did a great deal with them, and, you know, they're definitely going to use me next time, and I'm staying in touch with them, and this is, you know, a 98% chance. And then you've got this other person, you met them, and you know, they didn't hit it off that well, and they're like, my cousin's an agent or whatever. You put that at like a 12% chance, and lo and behold, the 98% chance, you turn around and like they sold their house without, like, what happened, you know? And then the 12%er calls you like, hey, you know what? My cousin's not ready to do a house of this magnitude. I liked you, come on over. So there's also this weird randomness to it. So that's what's so vexing for realtors. The other thing that's vexing is that there's so many things to do. That's why I do think that coaching or being part of an environment that will really say to you, these
are the priorities, because it can get, again, so, you know, we always talk about, you know, relationships are the foundation, right? How are you prospecting to build new and fortify existing relationships? And you can have the best marketing in the world, know the contracts inside and out. If you don't have clients, none of that matters, right? And that's not necessarily obvious to those that have not been in the business. So you're also modeling people who have done it before you, right? Don't reinvent the wheel, emulate people who have done it before you, coaching. And I'll also layer in one other thing, which kudos to you. It's like, we often overestimate what we can accomplish in a short period of time, let's say 1 year, and we underestimate what we can accomplish in 3 years per year. And because none of this happens overnight. Greatness in anything, and certainly real estate, takes the ability to be consistent, play the long game, as I always say, with urgency, right? Meaning you're prospecting every day and you've got that rigor. And it's a numbers game, per what you just said, Paul. Like, you don't know each little personal relationship. You don't know what's going to happen. You can't control each relationship. But if you have so many relationships, the data and the numbers and the probabilities fall in your favor if you're doing the right actions every day.
And I'll say this to you. It's yet another vexing piece. And I want to say this because this is for our audience. And that is, Josh and I, each of us have a commitment to fitness, and each of us right now are very fit. And the way that he goes about it is so much different than the way that I go about it. And I've tried his way before. It does not work well for me. It's very inefficient, and the results are iffy. It works great for him. He likewise would not want to do what I do. And so in real estate, there are lots of paths that will lead you down to a road that are not a good place. Lots of paths. So these are distractions and bunny trails and problems. And yet there still are, you know, I would say 10 or more paths that you could take, that if you did it on a consistent basis and you found what works for you, you're like, which one of these, let me tell you the 10 that work. What's going to work for you? What are you really going to do? And you follow that. It actually will work for you, like almost like a guarantee, except that it takes 2 to 3 years to generate enough business that it doesn't feel like, you know, totally inconsistent and happenstance.
It's like that with really any business. I mean, how many, you know, a restaurant, any place that opens up, any business gives themselves 3 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're losing money in year 1. They're probably losing money in year 2. And if they break even in year 3, the doors stay open.
You gotta plant the seeds, because there's that lag effect between when the seed gets planted and you continue to cultivate the seeds to when you actually have the seed harvest. You know, it's gradual, and then all of a sudden, you know.
Before it felt like you just kind of throwing things out there and seeing if something sticks. Not to use a derogatory term.
No. I'll tell you what else. I'll tell you what else is especially vexing for our audience. And that is, even though what I said is true, and that is, let's sit down, we'll talk about the 10 things that will work, pick the one thing that you'll be good at and you'll actually do, and 3 years from now, you're nearly guaranteed success. And the one of the other vexing things is that successful realtors do not understand that. So in other words, now you're watching somebody and they're operating on their natural, oh, well, hey, I just go to parties and I connect with people and I get their numbers and they, I buy their house, and they're like, oh, well, geez, I'll do that. And it doesn't work. So there are a lot of realtors that are successful that it's hard to figure out what is that model. And those are the ones we see. That's what we see on television. That's what we see on Instagram, and where we believe that it really is a systematized business that makes it happen. Now, we have in our own network, we have friends, people we love, people who are great realtors that just they appear to have no systems and they just do great. I will tell you, inside of doing great, they have more ups and downs than somebody who is highly systematic.
So when did you realize, so then so come back to did you in 3 years, tell us what things look like that 3 years.
What happened
or along the way.
Or what happened with the coach? So you go in and you go, hey, okay, wow, I think I wrote her name down. You mentioned she's great. I went to Tom Ferry Coaching. They hooked me up with this woman. And she tells me what to do, and I do it, and it works. I mean, what happened?
Well, she held me accountable.
Accountability.
The accountability was huge, especially in our biz, because it's so easy to just phone it in every day.
Yep.
So she kept me accountable on every process and step for the day. During that time, like you said, there's 10 different directions one could go in. Mm-hmm. She helped me kind of see what my direction could be. And my wife is an educator, mm-hmm. and she's very tied into the educational community in LA. And through my wife, I learned about all of the private schools, the mm-hmm. public school systems. I noticed at that time, right when I was on the Sunset team, I noticed this. Mm-hmm. Everybody that bought that first condo in WeHo, that first house in West Hollywood, mm-hmm. awesome. They get married. Mm-hmm. They have the first kid. First kid, you're still hanging around. They
squeeze it. They're hanging on.
They're still hanging on.
Yeah.
Second kid, it's yo, Ange, what about Studio City, Sherman Oaks, Encino?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Because all of the best private schools and a lot of the best public schools mm-hmm. from Burbank to Calabasas are on that side of town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It got me learning about the school system so that I can not directly consult, but at least give some advice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you're living in this place and you want to be in a place that feels like that, maybe this school in this area, you should look at it.
Yeah.
You should check it out. And so that kind of helped me with clients a lot, because they didn't, in 2009, 2010, there still wasn't that knowledge of, all of the schools mm-hmm. on Mulholland Drive,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
All of the schools, the Buckleys, the Harbor
yep.
West Lakes, the
yep.
Camel Halls, the Burbank, the Calabasas, the K-12. Yep. It was just kind of coming up all right, this is where you need to be if you really want to give your
mm-hmm.
kids
mm-hmm.
the best educations.
Yep.
And so you were kind of leading the charge in terms of knowing about that. Did you go as far as to say, okay, well, you've got the couple that's in West Hollywood. They have their first kid. They're trying to make it work, but maybe they're either thinking about the second kid or the second kid's on the way. Are you going so far as to say hey, let me tell you how the application process works?
I would let them talk to my wife for that,
mm-hmm.
Because I can't consult on that. What I would do is at that time, one of the first analytic software companies came out. I think it was SmartZip.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And through SmartZip, I kind of honed in on areas where people were having kids, and I was just kind of sending pieces to them.
And you were doing that through like direct mail? Like
Yeah,
what?
direct mail.
Okay.
I was getting call lists, calling.
Okay. So you were being very intentionally targeted.
I was trying that, yeah.
Okay.
And then it was also through school, through my wife's school.
Right.
And our daughter, we kind of put our daughter into the joke is we dropped her off in a nursery at like 6 months old.
Right, yeah.
So that she could be close to one of us. And that place was very close to my wife's school. So in networking in that community as well.
Right.
And so you went from Thomas Guide to SmartZip, which sounds like it was at least a little predictive analytics.
Yeah.
I mean, technology has really evolved, and now we're seeing it go crazy. So what technology are you using now?
Right now, my CRM.
Okay.
I live in my CRM.
And what CRM is that?
I use our Compass CRM. I live in it. That's the first place I start my day. Making calls, text messages, and emails. Then I also use Fellow.
I'm familiar.
Which is kind of a predictive in a way.
Yep.
It's a good way to kind of keep tabs on your on databases.
When you open your CRM and you say you're making calls and texting, how are you choosing between who
I make a call list the day before.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And how many people are on that call list?
At least 20.
And how are you?
How 10 will be people I know, and 10 will be people I don't know.
Okay.
Where are you getting the 10 that you don't know?
Oh, I get them from title.
Okay.
Come in very handy.
Okay.
For that.
And the 20 people you do know, are you just taking, rolling through your sphere and calling the next 10?
Yeah, call past clients, sphere, people that I know.
And what are you saying? Hey, it's Angelo.
Hey, it's Angelo. What's going on? How you been?
Checking
what
in.
What are you up to? I don't say checking in anymore.
Okay.
I just like, hey, what are you up to? I haven't spoken to you. Want to see what you're up to. See if they have any plans, kind of like what I asked you guys in the beginning. And, if they have any plans, and then I kind of get an idea of what they're doing at that given time.
Yep.
Plans regarding real estate or just plans?
No, plans.
Life plans?
Life plans. Yeah. I love taking clients to baseball games, concerts. I took some clients to Rufus Du Sol the other night.
Nice.
Theater. Going on hikes. I mean, going on hikes is the best time to really connect with people.
Yep.
And going out to the beach. I ride motorcycles, so
wow. Okay.
Go with a group of people with on a motorcycle ride through the canyons.
What kind of motorcycle do you have?
I have a BMW, an F800 GS.
Nice.
And I go
Sounds
cycling.
Like a fighter jet.
Do you ride by my house? I'm at Mulholland and Laurel.
Yeah, of course.
There you go. Watch
Mulholland keeps you in LA.
Right.
It's sexiest motorcycle curves in the city.
Look at that. Yeah.
You got to watch. They finally put little speed bumps in.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah. I think it's good.
It's a good thing that they have that. We go cycling. I'll go with a group of guys on the weekend. We do the Malibu Triathlon every year.
Wow.
Great event. You don't know clients are doing it, but then you see them there. Or if you do know clients are doing it, great time to get together, work out together, go on a bike ride, go on a swim, go do yoga.
Yeah. So do you still coach?
No, I don't coach. My last coach was Stephen Schul.
Okay.
That was a couple of years ago.
Well, I know well. Yes. And he, by the way, is much more Mike Ferry.
Yes. Yes.
And to make those distinguishing points is that, and by the way, I really believe that all of these methods work. It's just what fits more with your personality
and where you are in the evolution of your career.
Yeah,
too.
I mean,
what may be the right fit early on may be something different.
I mean, Steve Scholl is like, "Hey, are you ready to buy or sell?" Which is very Mike Ferry. Are you ready to buy or sell right now? And if the answer is no, that's great because I get to say, "Hey, great chatting with you next." And you want to move through the people who are, essentially what would be considered by that school of thought time wasters, right? To get to the people that are ready to transact much more quickly. And that is one way of doing it. The full opposite, I believe that Tom Ferry sits more in the middle, okay? And the full other opposite would be like a Brian Buffini that, you know, if you say, hey, how many people do you have in your sphere, in your database that you would consider your sphere of influence?
Probably 1,500.
Okay, so if you say that to Mike Ferry, he's like, okay, great, 1,500, that's awesome. So also add 50 a week or whatever, because, you know, you're really going through them and you want to get to a yes. And if you said 1,500 to Brian Buffini, he'd be like, okay, well, go through, pick out your A's, and here's what that is. Pick out your B's, pick out your C's, and knock that 1,500 down to the 500 most valuable people in your database, which again, that's too far out on that end of the spectrum for me too, because I'm not dumping 1,000. If I have 1,500, I'm not dumping 1,000 names,
Yep.
you know, because I know there's business that comes from that.
I would say Steve Schul, to me, started off like that. You know, I met Steve Schul at 8650 Sunset.
Right. I probably brought him in there.
Right. And he was like that in the beginning. And he was very kind of like, he was the coach on the sideline. He was the basketball coach or the football coach going up and down the sideline and really pushing you. Now, what I love about Steve is that he's more like a Zen coach now. You know,
he moved a little in that direction.
He moved that, and I gotta say, to me, it made a big difference because I take things really personally. And if you take things really personally, like to heart, you know, one of the things I said to a new prospect that I was introduced to, she said to me, it was, you know, with the agents that she had before, they didn't seem like they cared. And I said to her, I said, well, let me just explain to you how I operate. When I tell my clients that they didn't get a house or we're having a tough time selling the house, it's like a doctor telling their patient they're not going to make it. And I know that's an extreme example.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it hurts.
Yeah.
And
It does
you lose
hurt.
sleep over it.
Yeah.
And the one thing Steve taught me was, dude, let it go.
Right.
You know, you can't control everything. And as real estate agents, we want to control everything. We think we should control everything. I tell our younger team members, the space you have between a phenomenal transaction and a shitty transaction is a tripwire.
Yep.
Okay? You trip that wire, it's over. There's no turning back.
Yep.
You know? You can apologize and say sorry all you want.
Yep.
But that's the expectations we have on ourselves. And I get the chills saying it because it's you know, I talk about this with our colleagues all the time, that we're really out there, you know, performing and doing an incredible service for someone. Not only are we finding them home, we're finding the place of their like memories.
Yep.
You know, talk to all of the families that lost their homes in the fire. What will they say? Our memories are gone.
Yep.
You know?
And it's really a double-edged sword in a lot of ways, because again, someone like yourself who is so passionate about it and takes it so seriously and understands the impact you can have with your clients is what makes you great. And on the other hand, you personalize it, right? So it's often our greatest strength can become our greatest weakness, and it's understanding and having that perspective and self-awareness, I think, is critical. And another thing you said, which I'm a huge believer in, it's focus on what you can control, because there's going to be so many extraneous circumstances and dynamics with your clients, with the market, that you have no control over. So the more energy you give it, the more energy you're using ineffectively, right?
And I've lost weeks perseverating on a lost client, or that client, to go back to your point, that 98%, you're like, oh, it's mine. And then in the 11th hour, it's like, you know, they're not even responding to you, you know? So, and it happens, you know, and you just gotta, what Steve taught me, and I was in a group coaching with Steve. It wasn't just one-on-one. He taught us to really, to let go. And that was really when I felt like I started enjoying the business.
That makes sense.
You know, like really, like it became fun now.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And it's a tough part. You know, it's a tough part. It's a tough kind of. It's tough to come to that.
What do you say to someone, doesn't necessarily have to, maybe a potential client or to the general public that says, look, now the statistics are all the way up to 100% of people use some online tool in their search for real estate, and realtors really are overpaid. Maybe we don't need them at all, but if we do need them, they're overpaid because I'm coming to you. I've really done a lot of research, and I've come to you with the 4 or 5 houses I really like. You know, why don't I just go straight to the listing agent? What do you say to someone who says, why do I even need a realtor?
We have a very detailed list of processes that I share with them. And I say, if you feel like you could do all of this yourself, go for it. You know, if you feel like you don't need a fiduciary in your corner when it comes to the biggest purchase of your life or of your family's life, go direct to the listing agent. California is probably one of the few states that still allows dual agency.
Yeah,
which is surprising.
Correct.
I got to say, usually in my listing agreements, I say I won't personally represent a buyer as well. We've definitely done a bunch where sellers are okay with it, but I would prefer not to. You know, I would prefer to just, you know, have one client's interests in mind.
Yep.
And let's make a deal that way. Let's get to a place where we can make a deal.
And if I can take you back, maybe I don't have to take you back at all. It could be a question for today, but certainly a question from before. How do you convert someone that that knows you? They may even know you. They may even like you and trust you. But how do you move them from I know them, we like each other, to they want me to represent them on, you know, a huge transaction?
It just happened, and just sold a house up on Mulholland for $10.25, $10,250,000, and the house was listed 5-6 years before I got it through like 6 agents.
Wow!
This was a family that I knew very well, and I had been trying to get that listing for 9 years. And I would just say, you know, persistence, perseverance. I am the squeaky wheel.
And what are you going to do?
I've said that 5 times this week. Be the squeaky wheel to several people.
Now I'm the homeowner, and I like you. Now I chose this other realtor because they do, you know, all the business up on Mulholland. Obviously, it didn't work out. And then again and again. But what are you going to do? I'm open to listing with you, but I just want to know, what are you going to do different than them? These people who are the best of the best, they couldn't sell my house. So what are you going to do?
Whether it's in the foreground or the background, okay, I am always working to get your home sold. In the case of Mulholland, we went in and out of escrow 3 times, okay, over a 9-month period. And I was ferocious and diligent about keeping those backup offers interested. You know, in LA,
it's important.
It's so easy. You lose interest in a second. I say to clients and sellers, this may sound crazy, but we have 10 seconds to make an impression. Online, if somebody calls, if you call back after like 15 seconds, they're like, oh, well, what property was that? And it's scary to say that, but that's just the way it is. And I am always foreground, background, trying to make something happen. And not only trying to make something happen, but keeping you up to date on what I am doing.
So your speed, your communication, your accessibility, your willingness to engage, I guess sounds like really what you...
And I'm not perfect.
Right.
Guys, I dropped the ball. I've made my share of mistakes in the past, you know. 15, 16 years that I've been committed.
Right.
Made mistakes before that too. And I'm not, and I don't say that I'm perfect, but when it comes down to it, like, you know, I feel like I'm the guy you want in your corner.
Yep. And that confidence comes through, and it comes through with authenticity, and people gravitate toward that.
But
right?
again, and what you told me was what you did that was such a difference maker. And by the way, I'm sold, so that's good. This is what you really do. And it's really what most other people don't do. But how do you articulate that? So now, and maybe that's how you articulate it. But again, Angelo,
so
you're a good
those
guy.
Particular people, then when they decide to list with you,
you're a good
is there
guy,
anything specific that you feel like move the needle there?
Well, I fill in the puzzle. You know, like you have the list of processes, and I always say in between here, you know, anything like X, Y, and Z can happen. You know, and this is what I'm doing. I'm not like sourcing it out to somebody. You know, I'm doing it. You know, and if we don't succeed, it's on me. If we do succeed, it's on me.
So you're like, I'm resourceful. I've got a pulse on this process better than anyone else, and that's going to put me in a position to adapt more readily and more quickly and more effectively than someone else who may be not focused like I am.
Or to hold a listing like that for over a year,
right? Yep.
Takes, you know, you got to be showing something.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you can't just say, hey, you have like 20,000 views, and you know we've had this many showings, and they're going to renew the
is part of that process. Like, are you clear on what your communication is going to look like at the outset to create expectations? Is that part of what distinguishes you?
It is. I do when I can. Like I try to do all of the showings. I love doing showings. Actually, it's probably one of my favorite things to do.
Okay.
I love doing the open houses because I just like meeting the people and the agents, our colleagues. Like they're as much in it as I am. You know, we're doing this together.
Yep.
I like to see and meet the people that are going to be, you know, we're going to either be negotiating with or negotiating for. And it just gives me a lot of fodder when we get to that point.
What does your team look like now? Give us a sense of what that is.
It's I have a manager of operations, a marketing director, and we have 4 agents. And I partner up with a lot of agents in the city that aren't necessarily on my team. And I love partnering with other agents.
Yep.
You know, it just creates a whole nother dynamic.
What does the ideal world look like for you 3 years from now with respect to your business?
With respect to my business. 3 years from now, I would love to have a team here in West Hollywood. I'm growing a small team in Silicon Valley. Because my wife and daughter are there now. And I'd love to have a consistent, predictable business in both of these areas.
Now you've done a very good job for, let's say, the seller on Mulholland. I mean, you did what everybody else couldn't do. And let's just say this seller is like, wow, I get it. Now, the seller, I'm going to make this up, is also very busy doing something that earns him a living that would put him in a $10 million house and you know, while loving you and paying you a big commission, he doesn't really owe you more than that. What are you doing to get that individual or other individuals to refer you more clients, if anything?
I go back to hanging out with them, you know, seeing them, what's going on in their lives, how are the kids, let's go out to dinner, let's go to a ball game, let's hang out, you know, and it really goes down to that. And that's kind of, I would say, we're keeping them updated, of course, with our, you know, what's going on in our business as far as newsletters and
what does that look like? So
we send out a newsletter every 2 weeks.
Okay, every 2 weeks.
So it's about 50,000 people.
Oh wow! And that newsletter is digital.
It's digital, yes.
And what is that? What do you include in that newsletter?
We include things to do in LA. Being Italian, I love food. So we do a weekly kind of, food video, like best sandwich place,
Nice.
Pasta. Haven't gotten to sushi and stuff yet, but burgers. I love smash burgers. So we include that as well.
Do you know Burger She Wrote?
I love Burger She Wrote.
There you go.
It's
That's
nice,
one.
crispy outside, great smash burger.
And
have you
that's-
gone to For the Win?
I'll have to try that. But a shout out to Burger She Wrote
Right,
because
shout
that's
out.
we're
Great fries too. Great sweet potato fries there.
we're in business with
Yeah.
a creative director that did their stuff and is part of that.
I love it there.
I love it too,
Right next
yeah.
door is Marvin.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
a great place too. Marvin's awesome. So
Where did you get the list of 50,000?
over all of the lists that I've accumulated between, I would say the areas I work, I call it the magic loop, the magical loop. It's West Hollywood, Hollywood Hills, Beverly Hills, Bel Air, Encino, Sherman Oaks, and Studio City. I mean, I dabble outside of that circle, but
Who does the newsletter for you? How much of it is your own content? How much are people helping you write or using ChatGPT?
not using Chat GPT. Zoe, my marketing director, she's created the newsletter. She puts all of the information, the listings, the action.
So you're putting things to do, some food stuff, and then you're putting your active listings.
Sold.
What? Anything else?
Yeah. Anything else that?
A lot of social media marketing. Like social media ads through Compass, social media ads through Rate My Agent, social media ads. I mean, my website is a luxury presence website. So a lot of Google advertising through luxury presence, and that's both for SoCal and NorCal.
Oh, wow. So you're trying to get business from NorCal as a referral.
We have a great listing coming up in NorCal.
Okay.
Oh, you're going to actually take the listing in NorCal?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
We have a great one. It's in
So
Mulholland.
is that started to gain traction? I mean, it sounds like
I've sold a couple of places in Palo Alto.
Okay.
And actually, the Palo Alto.
Is your daughter at Stanford or?
No,
Okay.
she's 15 years old.
Okay,
She's in
okay.
high school.
Okay.
She's a freshman in high school.
Okay.
I was referred by clients here to clients in Palo Alto. And
Okay.
that's how I got
And
my
you're
two
willing
sales
to
there.
take, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
What program do you use, if you know, to send out the newsletter? It's like a MailChimp? Is it?
I don't, you know what, that's a good question. I think it's a MailChimp.
Okay.
Yeah. It's either a Send It or MailChimp, something like that.
And maybe it's just Zoe that monitors it for you, but do you have any idea what your open rate is or unsubscribe?
44% is the open rate.
That's strong.
That's very
Especially for
strong.
$50,000.
It's a really good open rate.
Very strong.
Yeah.
And the unsubscribe rate, I don't know, but we always get a couple.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I have, because we talk to a lot of top agents and we have somebody that we interviewed not that long ago, 50,000 strong email list, and her open rate is about half of yours, and she's crushing it because she may send weekly, which might be a little bit too often, but she always has a good headline. And so she has people, she's sort of back tested it, not officially, but she'll bump into somebody, they're like, hey, thanks so much for, inviting me to the thing. I just love your newsletter. And she's like, okay, that was Sally Smith. And she'll go back and look, and Sally didn't open her email. She just saw the headline like, hey, we're having this thing this weekend. And she's like, oh, that's awfully nice of her to invite, I'm busy next. Didn't even open it, but it doesn't mean that it's not still touching people. But 44% open rate is magnificent.
Yeah.
Your marketing is working when you have a lease listing and you receive a lease application with references, and you call one of the references who's a landlord.
Yes,
Yeah,
I know what you're going to say. I love it.
Yeah.
That
Oh, we know
goes,
you.
Yeah.
Angelo, great to finally speak to you. I get your
that's so
information
good.
all the time. I'm really happy to speak to you right now. So when I got it, I was like, oh my God, That's because a lot of it is, it's ethereal almost. Like you're
You're
putting
not
stuff out
sure.
there, but
Yeah.
you're not sure,
Yep.
you know, and you're spending at times an exorbitant amount of money. And you can't really see that ROI.
Yeah.
And when you hear that, it's kind of like, oh, you know, it just gives you a really good feeling. It gives you a good, like, warm feeling.
We've been doing this podcast, and one of the things I focused on was Instagram for, 2 or 3 years, making sure that I was really at the top of the food chain in terms of realtors. And I benchmark is what I do. I go like, hey, who doesn't have a television show?
Right.
Okay. Because that gives you a bit of an unfair advantage. Who doesn't have a television show that is crushing it and is very well known in the realtor space? And by the way, I picked Tom Ferry, who I now consider a friend. And last time we bumped into him, by the way, he's like, oh, I watch your stuff on social media all the time, and truthfully, I don't engage with it myself because it takes too long. He's like, I know you see all my comments, and I'm like, not really, but that was my benchmark. And then like I'll go to I'm in an airport in New York or a different city, and somebody will come up to me like, hey, I see your stuff online. And it really, that does give you that little social proof for sure. What else are you doing on social media? So I love the email. I love the email marketing.
We, we run ads sort of concurrently through different channels for listings, just about the team. And it gets, I would say, I can't really give a specific ROI on that.
Sure.
But it helps with awareness.
Yeah.
It becomes expensive, but it helps with awareness.
Yeah.
We just got a sponsor for the podcast that and we don't do it unless, we're not for sale. We've gone without a sponsor for a long time because there are lots of people that were interested in selling their thing.
This whole production gets, it's nice to have a sponsor sometimes.
And we'll keep paying for it rather than go with a sponsor. That's not something we really love to do. And so there's a company that we just got involved in called Claim Your Name. And one of the things that it does is it does search engine optimization for people. And they really cut their teeth in a different market, because I did find a company. I'm not interested in creating it myself if somebody else is doing it, but I came across a company that will remain nameless in the real estate space that said they were doing a bunch of this stuff, but they really weren't. And so, for example, one of the client testimonials that I just looked at was a great realtor that we're friends with. I won't say who it is. And they looked across the entire, he's been in business a long time. He does a great business, and looked all across the web. And there were 103 places where his name, address, and phone number, which are very basic. And that's, by the way, that they call it local SEO. Local SEO just means that when people are looking for a realtor in Silver, they could be in South Korea,
right.
But if they're looking for a realtor in Silver Lake, you want Angelo Fierro to come up, and that's considered local. So every time that there's a broken link, or even a name, one time you use your middle name, one time you don't, that alone is enough to create confusion. And this guy's doing great. And we found 103 places in the web that there was, they use an acronym. It's NAP. It's so basic. It's name, address, phone number, where his name, address, and phone number, it's the so-and-so group, some of the time. Then it's just, so I'll just use your name. It's Angelo Fierro Group. And then other places it's Angelo Fierro. And if you really talk to somebody who knows the game, they're like, both of those are fine. Okay, pick one.
Right.
And then get the bio, and you have the same bio in every single place. And then there are all of these directories, that we didn't even sign up for. because there's all this web scraping that people want to, like at yellowpages.com. This particular guy, I talked to him about it and he's like 103. I don't even think I'm on 103 things. and I'm like, okay, well, here's some examples. I gave him some examples that he knew he was on. I was like, wow, okay. So one time it was the Angelo Fierro. The other time was Angelo Fierro Group. You really consider that broken? I'm like, pick one. He goes, okay, I get it. But, then we look at like yellowpages.com. He's like, I didn't sign up for yellowpages.com. And it's got the wrong address and the wrong whatever. And that in and of itself was pushing it down. So we are doing a deal in essence just to because I've done it for myself. I've done it for Josh. We're really testing it out so that we can get a sponsor for the podcast, but also bring to the market something that's really behind the scenes and working. And one thing that realtors love is something that they don't have to do. Right. So, number one, they run the whole report for you and they hand you the report. And, the guy I'm referring to, the first thing he called was BS. Because I said, your thing is wrong in 103 places. BS, because I'm not on 103 places. I go,
there you go.
Here you go. And he was like, half of them he hadn't heard of. So it's one of the ways we're always trying to stay ahead of technology. And that's why I was wondering, what's working for you. And by the way, it doesn't have to be the most sophisticated thing.
We also do the tangible, we do the Hollywood Reporter, the Variety, the Los Angeles Business Journal, like full page ads. I gotta say,
and that's pay to play.
When something comes from those efforts, one time at an open house, we're always like, hey, how did you hear about the open house? And this one lady pulled out the LA Times ad. I almost started crying.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was exhilarating. I hugged her.
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta hug you. Like, this is amazing. You're like the one in 100. So again, I think it goes back to like getting that one, and that's why we do all of these efforts that, I feel like, people don't know or don't recognize or don't acknowledge. But, I know that at least all of our colleagues, we're badasses. Yeah. We're out there like really, really pounding the pavement. And it's just with a fervor and a passion that, to help people.
Sure.
It's to sell houses, of course, but it's really to like see our clients be so happy in the places that that they've purchased or sold, or happy selling and getting something else. That getting that first condo for a kid.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you have such an opportunity to make such a
parents,
impact.
The grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins. They're all, they show up in a bus.
Yep.
One of the things I wanted to a question that I didn't ask or didn't get an answer to yet is, what are the holes in your business that could be filled? Maybe it's and when we look at holes in a business, we look at either systems, technology, or people to fill that hole. So what do you
similar question? Like, what are the opportunities that you see to grow your business that maybe are not being fulfilled now?
People. Yeah. I would say more people, delegating across, different, branches.
Yep.
I would say that.
We always say prioritize, automate, delegate, right? That's,
I got to say the prioritize, yes, but then after the delegate is, I really didn't start delegating until before COVID. So it really hasn't been long for me. I've been literally solo and partnering up with other agents.
Yep.
And 2018, I think we got our first manager of operations. And I've been through a few because it's such a nuanced position.
Yep.
Somebody who knows the contract, who knows the processes, who knows the disclosures, knows the marketing, and can also do all of these things and doesn't want to sell.
Yeah. Part of that is what percentage, if I may ask, and this is an interesting question, do you do of your total team's business?
Oh,
do you want me to answer that for him?
I'm still about 78%.
Okay, I was going to say 80. So
I was going to say 80 too.
Something
Yeah.
like that.
We've interviewed a lot of people.
I think to date right now, it's about 78.
Okay. Yeah. And would you like that? Is that part of that answer? Is like,
I would actually, that's a great question. I haven't really sat down and thought about it.
yep.
But lately I've been helping newer agents on our team, like get those first 2 deals.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, it's as exhilarating.
Yes.
As
It's a lot of fun.
Good for you. It's not for everyone, by the way.
Yeah, that's right.
At my
But I could
office-
see in a minute it would
Yeah.
be for him.
I know.
At my
yeah.
office, I mentor about at least 7 or 8 agencies.
Okay.
I try to commit to less than 10
Yeah.
because it is a lot of work.
Yeah.
I mean, only, just the NAR statistics, about 2 or 3 of them, really turn out to be productive agents.
Yeah.
But watching one of your mentees do it is great. Watching one of your team members who help you out with so many other things beyond just helping them, walking them through the deal is really, it's, I've been really loving it.
Yeah. I can see that. You love to pour into people, and I can see that. That's awesome. Yep.
Let's go fire round.
Do it.
What we do for a fire round, each one of these questions, you could give a long answer to, and we would mess it up because you're going to say something we're going to love to comment, but we're going to hold our comments. So we'll just go straight through it. And why don't you start?
What is your greatest fear?
My daughter being hurt. The first dude that breaks her heart is going to kill me.
What's the best compliment you've ever gotten?
Loyal guy, loyal friend.
What's an insult you've received that you're proud of?
That I'm obnoxious. I've toned that down a lot. I've definitely toned that down.
What's an attribute you most admire in others?
I would say perseverance. For me, it really always goes down to perseverance.
What's a talent you'd most like to have?
Oh, I got a couple. One would be to be like a rock star guitarist,
I love it.
And another one would be to be like a MotoGP racer, something along those lines.
What's the most important thing that you aspire to accomplish in your life?
Being a good dad, being a good person, and it's strange to hear me say that because like there have been like times in my life where that would never cross my mind. But fatherhood does things to you, and through a lot of introspection and meditation, say that I love being a good father, a good husband, a good friend, a good colleague. Although sometimes that doesn't work out either. But, it really comes down to that, I kind of don't put a lot of importance on like legacy and things like that. I just, I think at the end of the day, my dad recently passed away, and that call, when you get that call, it's done. It's over. There's no, I was like, but and the guy's like, the doctor's like, yeah, but nothing. I mean, he's out. He's gone.
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, it's, just being able to connect with people on a really like cool level and being a good person.
Is your daughter your only child?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we also have a dog, Goose. Shout out to Goose.
We both have one child.
Yeah, and Goose is our second, definitely.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a dog that we're having a lot of fun with, and
no dog
she's
yet,
also
but when
a
Max
pain.
is ready, the dog will
I
come.
gotta take our dog to the doggy dentist.
Okay.
Oh, that's
next week.
that's pricey.
But she's got to be put under she's got to be put under for that, and I'm like, oh, she just makes me anxious.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you like to hike.
Yep.
And let's say you do one of these great hikes in LA. Could be a steep one. You get up a difficult trail, steep grade. You get up, and you get this panoramic view like we have here, and you look down, and you see your family and your friends and your colleagues and the rest of your community, and you shout one thing. What do you shout?
I love you.
Wonderful.
Bingo. And he said it very quickly. I love it. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Pleasure.
much.
Thank you.
Really
Awesome.
amazing.
We could have gone like 3-4 hours on
Yeah,
this
I
one.
would have loved to.